All right, time to get this started. Hello everyone and welcome. Welcome back. Going to continue some work on my Dark Tower Defense game here. And I'm going to continue. I was going to do some map building tonight for my in-game world. So I've got Flowscape open, and I'm going to be working out of that. It's a 3D world builder, and I'll be taking some 2D snapshots to put into my game. So what I have here is it's just a little little platform, and I put a rock terrain on it. And because I was thinking, in my game right now, it's starting off in sort of like a green woodland. It's a temperate zone, and I was thinking about a lot of games that actually start off in temperate zones. It's a little bit normal. So perhaps it'd be more interesting to see the world start in, like, say, a volcanic zone rather than just a regular old temperate zone. So I'm going to try to start with something like that. So I'm going to get some rocks here, and I'm going to see what I can do to sprinkle these in here. Set the scatter radius up here. What is it currently doing here? Not quite. I guess really what I need to do is decide the pathing first. So let me go to the pathing tool. And down here, no, actually up here. And I'm going to select my paint tool. And we're going to Bob Ross this. So let's see, we have several options. There wouldn't really be a path, but we still need something, some sort of visual indicator, at least for while we're working on this. And when I'm done, maybe I can just make the path actually organic in terms of, like, there are boulders outlining the path that the enemies would follow. It never really makes sense in these tower defense games why enemies would follow a path, but that's the way it is. They just do. They're obedient. But that being said, if none of these actually look good, maybe I'll try to make the path organic rather than painted on. So I think down here is what I'm looking for. Yeah. So it could be a lava flow. So what I need then is, let's say if this were level 1, then it would actually be a pretty a pretty basic level. So it wouldn't be too crazy in terms of having multiple paths coming in all from the same well, to the same location. So it might be something like a even something as simple as a spiral. So if they did something along this line. Now, I don't like that in particular, but if I use that as a baseline to start off with. So let me we'll say, and I'm not going to use these buildings either, but let me just plop a building on there. Grab the scale tool here. Shrink that thing down. So, for example, if that were the player base, then the enemies would follow sort of a spiral path like this, which means we could build some rocks that sort of outline this. To where it makes sense that the enemies wouldn't necessarily try to traverse them. I think the scale seems a little off for some of these. Let me go to the scale up top. Drag it down a bit. A little bit better. See what kind of mixtures we can get in here. See. Not that one. That was a bad one. Hey, Quest on Plate. How you doing today? You having a good morning? You back at the office? Just doing some map building here and trying to make it not look too terrible. Might need to remove some of these orange rocks. I'm not sure that they're fitting in too well. Nice. Hope you've got your coffee ready to go too. Let's see here. So this is like a volcanic wasteland. So we would want, what does this option give us? It's like a little bit of a mossy rock. Maybe we can go for like a big one up here in the corner. Oh, nice. You're going to a gaming festival? Let's check this out. Yeah, it looks pretty fun. I'm looking for... Do you know how many years they've held this festival? I think it's great to get involved, to get out there and get in touch with the community. I know you're doing that with your podcast as well. I think those festivals are a great chance to do that. Now, what's funny about this application is even if I hide the UI when I'm painting these rocks on, the UI is still active. So I have to click off of the UI and then drag under it. Otherwise, it tries to, like, for example, load and save the game. Oh, 2015, so so that festival's been around for a while. That's pretty cool. Good to hear. Are you going to upload any of the interviews to YouTube? All right, I'm gonna shrink these down a bit. At this point, I'm just trying to get the overall structure, and then I'm gonna fine tune the placement of the materials. I may even end up importing some third-party 3D assets into this, but this will get us started for sure. I didn't like that. Well, good to hear. I'm excited for you. I look forward to checking that out as well. Yeah, good luck with the festival. Okay, so I think these are ice rocks or something. No, those are white rocks. Could do if I pick one of these other structures, there are specific 3D models that it'll cycle through. So I could even put a rock bridge over part of the pathway, for example. So let me increase the size, if it will work. So I could drop that one down, and then if I pick the scaling tool and the rotation tool, I can then rotate it. And then scale it up. Now, what's challenging about doing it this way is if I'm exporting this as a 2D sprite, basically just a map, then the enemies wouldn't really go under that. So I probably want to avoid doing that here, and instead I'll get a 3D asset like that and put it into the game engine itself. So yeah, can't do that here, but I would like to do it once I'm over in gdevelop. Okay. With that being said, I think all I need to do is maybe put in a little more dead stuff. And then I'm just going to export this and move on to the next. Could put this underneath. So if I set that there, and then move it downward on the Z-axis. Maybe a little. And then Testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. Do we have volume? Testing, testing. Do we have volume now? Testing, testing, testing. Not sure what was going on there. I guess my microphone's had a long Tuesday. All right, where was I? Building a hellscape. So, yeah, I think this is the gist of it. I just want to maybe flatten this a little bit. I'll need it to be more flat for my map. Something like this. I don't know. I'm not liking it too much. So I'm just going to clear this space right here. Riley Parker, thank you for the confirmation. Appreciate that. So I want these rocks to be basically barriers that the enemy cannot cross, not necessarily to stop the enemy from placing the towers, but at the same time, they will be player barriers as well, because it would make sense to treat them like they're flat when they look very vertical. All right, making some good progress here. So I think next, I just wanted to sprinkle on maybe some rock, some like pebble rocks. Make it rain. Something like this, a little over here. It didn't like that at all. It'd be better if we could drop some obsidian rocks into here. Maybe if I grab the same black stone and then shrink the size all the way down. What does that look like? That's almost the same effect, but pebble sized. We could do that. We could just sprinkle those over the whole scene. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of this. And let me pull up that screenshot and see what that looks like. I think I need to actually put it into the game engine to see how it's going to look. So here on the main scene, and let me also navigate to the photo location. Just navigating to that photo. Where does it save to? Where, oh where? Okay, so it should be here in my regular Flowscape folder. I have some of the images in there, but I'm not seeing these. For example, I've got some of my older ones in here. I don't need those right now. Just trying to track down the save folder for these screenshots. It seems to have changed. Just give me 1 second here. And I think what I'm going to do is, it's not going to be a super long night tonight. So I just want to crank out maybe 2 more levels, get those into the game, put the layer on there so that the enemies can find the path, and just get it functional. And then we'll call it a day. or a knight over here. Now, one thing I didn't do though, let me adjust the direction of the sunlight. I basically want it as flat as possible, which doesn't look the best, but essentially I want the in-game light to more or less dictate how the shadows would look. So let me set that there, basically to overhead. And I'm going to save this as well. All right. Okay, I have located the files. It's under Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Flowscape. And I had a couple different Steam saves, which is why I have different locations. So, that being said, now that I know where it is, I took 2 photos there, and it looks like one of them is 16 megabytes. But I'm pretty sure gdevelop has a limit of 15 megs per image. So I need to downgrade the image screenshot. So let me go back to Flowscape here, and we'll set the screenshot resolution to low, and then I will take another snapshot. Boom. That came in at 3.8 megs, which is quite a bit better. So let's put that into the game. Let me open up the ground image. Add an animation. Let me name this something like I'll just call it like Lava 0. Add a sprite. Open that up. Let it load in for a minute. Alright, so that is now animation 2, and if I apply that, then here what we could do is change the animation to 2, and then we can open it up in our world. Well, we can open it up in the world, but I need to change the global variable for level to level 2. Actually, let me double check my event. Is it 2 or is it 1? So if I change the level to 2, it's going to load. That's interesting. I don't have it changing the animation here in the event. Let's just see what happens. So come out here, there's the level. It's on 2 already. So does that need to be on 3? So 0, 1, 2 would be level 3. Yeah, that's correct. So it loaded. Now we just need to play with all of the things in the world that need to move. So, for example, if this is for level 2, then we want, where do we want our tower? Or rather, where do we want our base? We want the base to be right about here in the middle. So that would be about, let's say, 592, 406. And then let's move our ambient light to the same position. And then we would want the enemy spawner to be at about 1077 negative 35. We'll say negative 40. And let's preview that. Okay, so let me double check something here. We said about I was putting it on the wrong level, so let me put it on this one. 398 and 398. And then, what did we say? 1077. Negative 40. Yeah, it is not happy with this negative number. There we go. All right, let's test that. All right, that worked. So now we have this eerie sort of center area around which all those enemies are gonna come in from the top and go around. So we could add some more ambient light. In fact, I have it super dark right now, so let me bring this up to what it might more realistically look like, and then see what that looks like. That was almost more of a dying state that we would have been in. So this is the more realistic starting point. So you can actually see a little bit, and you can start to place your towers out here. So now I need to change the layers. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if I come out here, we can see none of the layers, but if I unhide them, these are what we have to prevent enemies from spawning. So I'm going to create a new layer. And then I'm going to rename this other one here to 4 for now, and then name this one to 3. And for this layer, I want to keep it visible, and I need to drag out some enemy barriers. Just do a couple renamings here for... Alright, so now I need to sprinkle on these blocks to wherever I do not want the enemy to spawn, or to walk rather. Which is pretty much here. And here. A little bit up here on the top. Don't want them coming down through there. Now this part actually, we're going to need a path into this section, so let me drag a new separate one here. Drag that down. Something like this. And then let's close the gap right here as well so they can't cross through. That should work. Let me pull back though. And just so that the enemies don't try to cheese their way. I'm gonna add another one right here. Alright, almost done with this part. They really shouldn't come out here. So I'm just gonna create sort of a border out here. Maybe one in the corner here. Don't think that'll be an issue. Okay. Maybe one here for smoother pathing. Alright, so what I'm going to do then is here in the scene events where it says level 3, we need to change enemy barrier 3 as an impassable object. This would be for enemy barrier 3. And I need to actually set these all on the correct layer as well. I did not do that. Let me move this to right about here. There we go. We have the layers 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is basically my approach to setting up the different levels here in gdevelop. So instead of having to recreate the code multiple times, I'm just changing some layers around, moving some coordinates, and changing the background animation, and that's a whole new level. Lots of different ways to approach that. That's my current approach. But I did forget to set these on the correct layer, so let me change those real quick. All right, almost done here. This should really be it. The only other thing is the player barriers, the areas the player can't actually place towers. And I think I'm good here. So let's see if the enemy's path correctly. Let me see if that moved the spawn points to the correct spot. So that should be 1077, negative 40. Okay, let me open that up. First of all, let me hide this. It's kind of annoying to look at. And let me open this up with the debugger. And I'll call in a wave. And let's see where the enemies are spawning. Minimap Gaming, you're actually Quest Unplayed. You came back in disguise. I appreciate the support. Thanks for the extra sub. Definitely could use all the support I can get. And I know you're out there advocating for the other independent game developers as well. Minimap Gaming. I'm working on a minimap today. And I'm trying to find my enemies too. They're lost somewhere out here amongst the rocks. They did spawn where I told them to spawn. I'm thinking they got stuck in my barrier. So let me see. So they should be spawning right up here. My code might have left some impassable barriers that they couldn't get through. Right about here. So I said 1077, negative 40. So that is not inside of the barrier. So they shouldn't have a problem with that. Oh, I got you. So Minimap is the name of your platform. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I can see the logo there too. I like it. So, again, why are my enemies stuck? So if it were one of these other levels, for example, level 1, it's going to set the barrier as an impassable obstacle, yes. And then change the positions. We said repeat for each instance of the enemy barrier 1 up there. So down here it should be all 3s. So global level 3, enemy barrier 3, and set enemy barrier 3 as an impassable obstacle. So then okay. How odd. Let me check the console here again. So when I hit this button, we should see some pathing, but we're not seeing the pathing at all. And what I mean by that is we should see some pink lines showing where they're anticipating walking. And we're not even getting that. So, oh, in fact, looking down here, it says no path was found after covering. So there's something wrong with my obstacles. They're too much in the way. So with that being the case, I think it's because I put their goal, I think I buried it here amongst these obstacles. So let me actually open this up from the inside. And that should do the trick. They just couldn't get to it at all. Poor bad guys. Let's see if that did the trick. Not quite. Oh, yep. There we go. They are now pathing. And it would look better if I took off the, if I hid the layer. Let's test this. Oop, that one is on the wrong layer. Move that to off of the base layer. All right, third time's the charm. Even though it was the 10th time. All right, now we can see the pathing. Much better. We could place a tower, set them on fire. In fact, this would be the level you get the fire tower. So these towers will shoot a flamethrower, but they'll also periodically launch a meteor and then explode into these rings. I haven't quite finalized the graphics there. I don't think that they quite fit, so I guess I would call those placeholder for now. But that part is a success. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do next is make one more map, try to get it here into the game, and then I'm going to call it a session. So moving back over here, let me save gdevelop, and then move over to Flowscape. And I guess I'm going to start with a new map. Actually, never mind. I can clear everything. And I just want to think about the path as the starting point to the map here. So what I'm going to do is, we know that this is the first path right here. So it's a swirl from top right down like that. And so next we could do sort of a we could change it up. Maybe it's like almost like an arrow from the bottom left and then one from the bottom right. That might be interesting. So let me go to the painter tool and erase the path. Select the lava. What is my favorite game genre? I've always been a Diablo guy, Diablo 2. And then from Diablo 2, I played Path of Exile. And so I think that's probably kind of my my standard, but then I am of course a fan of tower defense games. I know last night I was talking about Gemcraft, Chasing Shadows, and Frostborn Wraith. I like those tower defense games as like a secondary genre. And then the third genre I'm a fan of would be kind of like builders, specifically Factorio I got really into, and Minecraft back in the day as well. What about you? What gaming genres do you like? Let's shrink this. Paint. Here we go. So we have sort of a lava flow path. Something like this. Yeah, I think we'll start with this path. And by start, I mean we'll go with it. Oh, our path got messed up right there. JRPG and also Diablo 2 as well. Yeah, GOW, The Last of Us 1, not 2. That's funny, but yeah, I would agree. Nice. And you know, I haven't played nearly as many JRPG games as I should. They always look great. Like, they are pretty much their own... I mean, they are literally their own thing, aren't they? Paint this in a little bit. Okay, something like this. Something like that. All right, let's get some rocks on here. Shouldn't take too long now. We're on the home stretch. Let me set the scale. These can be pretty large. Just something, in this case, they're going straight toward the target. Oh, I forgot to actually modify the underlying landscape. So let me raise and lower a few areas so it doesn't look identical. Let's do, we could tweak the tiling just a bit and then sculpt. Grab the brush size here. Let's raise this divot up. Could raise this up a bit. Testing, testing. Can we hear it? Can we hear the voice now? I don't know why it keeps going out. I was doing some audio earlier. I had it unplugged and must have messed something up. All right. Well, I'm on the home stretch here, almost done for this stream. So on the next one, I'll try to get this sorted out. Must have a loose cable or something. Sorry about that. Sounds super annoying when I play it back. So, all right, let's just plop some rocks down here. Again, this is going to be, I'm thinking, one of the starting areas. Instead of starting the player off in a green temperate zone, which would be kind of friendly and familiar, I think instead we're going to start the players off in more of a hellscape. So we'll take them to the volcanic area instead. And that's where they could pick up their fire tower. So that's what we're doing here. So we're going to let the player place towers here in the middle. And along these sides should be fine. Maybe we'll take away this section right here. That should work. Take away this area over here. Let's throw a few more random rocks down. Don't like that one. And see, what kind of structures do we have? Could put in some old ruins. Almost like there was an ancient civilization here at some point. It actually reminds me of some stones I saw in Northern Ireland. I think you see them in Game of Thrones because they did some shooting up there. They're sort of hexagonal, I think. Something like that. No, I've never been to Korea. Not ever. Had some friends who went there because they were in the military, but I have no personal connection there whatsoever. Have you always lived in Korea? I mean, it looks nice. I'd like to visit there. Just haven't done it yet. It's definitely on my bucket list. All right, we're going to call this good here. Actually, I need a rock over here to make it more obvious that you cannot place a tower. And then we're going to call it good. Lived in Belgium. Okay, so you graduated in the US and then lived in Belgium for 2 years when you were 6. Nice. Well, you've been around. You're a man of culture. Belgium would be neat. I'm hoping to be probably not in Belgium next year, but possibly in Europe at least. Which college did you go to? Oh, those are too big. All right, right down here. I have to be careful to make sure that if the player cannot place a tower, that it's relatively obvious. Don't want them to feel cheated. Okay. That should work. Okay, I'm going to go with this. Grab the snapshot, and let's get it in the game. Awesome. Well, I've never been to that college either, but or rather university, but did you have a good time there? I actually went to university for film studies, and I never actually, I worked in film, making films here in Oklahoma for a while. Some Hollywood crews would come through, and I would just be like, you know, a grunt production assistant or work on the camera crew. But I decided I didn't really like the commercial film production. It was not my cup of tea, so I switched over. And I do cybersecurity now, but obviously do game dev in my free time. So it took kind of a different direction there. All right, adding in the next level here. Add an animation, add a sprite. Here we go. Apply. All right, so now if this were level 3, it looks like this. So let's add another, excuse me, let's add another layer here. Right here, add layer. Enemy barrier layer 4. Drag that down. And that's visible, so now we want to duplicate this one. And let's start dragging these out. Again, this is to block off the enemies. I guess I can hide the instances panel here, make it a little bit bigger. And yeah, let's just start dragging them out. And I'll make sure I put it on the correct layer to begin with, which is 4. There are ways of pathing more directly, but what I enjoy about doing it this way, which is, as you can see, rather manual, is that you get more randomization as the enemies kind of zigzag their way through the path rather than, for example, if I tell them move from A to B, they will move directly from A to B and it will be perfect. And reality is never perfect, so it looks very fake. So in this way, I get a little more randomization out of it, even though it is a little more manual of a process to get it set up. Okay. And at this point, they'll come together, as all enemies should. Almost there. Okay, they really shouldn't be going off the path here. I'll just throw one out here to make sure that they don't. But we'll find out very quickly if they're trying to do something goofy. And yeah, so let me pull that down a little bit here. That should work. Maybe one right here as well. It kind of curves in a bit. Okay, let's go into the events here and add an event line. So Control C, Control V. So if the global level is 4, then repeat for each instance of enemy barrier 4. And now we just need to set the coordinates. So we want the sort of player base. The target of the enemies will be up here at about 652.53. And then let's also put the light there. And then we want the enemy spawn points. We want one to be at about -13, 754. Testing now. Are we good? Yeah, really sorry about this noise. That is super annoying for you. Yeah, I was just saying we're almost done here. Just need to, perfect, thank you. Thanks for confirming. I think we're good here. I'm going to run the test, and everything should be in place. The enemies should path from the bottom left and the bottom right, and move up to the center here. There should be a light here at the center as well. Here we go. I need to set the level to the correct level, though. That would help. So we are now on level 4. Apply. Now, here we go. Okay, call in the enemies. It's saying that they cannot find the path, so that means I've probably cut them off a bit. Let's double check. The target is 652.53. Right about here. Maybe the barrier is a little too tight right here. So the choke point, let's open that up a bit. And test. Okay, they are still struggling. I can see that they're spawned down here. It's really strange that they're not finding the path. It seems pretty open. Just keep fiddling with it here. Gonna get it. So where that little light is, that is exactly what they're trying to find, and they're complaining because they cannot. Okay, let me test something. Let me have one of them spawn at about 405, 317. And see if they can do that. I think I need to... I think I might need to disable a different barrier layer. So let me Control C, Control V. Let me set all other layers as inactive. That could be the issue here. Set these to no. And test this. Nope, they're still not taking it. What happens then if I move them even further up, or perhaps delete these barriers right here? They'll have a direct line of sight. If they can't handle that, then there's something else going on. Which there does seem to be something else. Yeah, so the target is at 600, 398, which is where the lamp is. We've set the global variable to 4. So that means that this is true. We've set all other... Oh, right here. I think I found the issue. All right, test. No. I did fix an issue. It wasn't the only issue though. So we do need enemy barrier 4 as the impassable obstacle. None of the other layers should be impassable. So let's come out here and double check the layers. So this is 4 right here that we're seeing. We also have a layer 1, 2, 3, and 5. Those are the only ones that should impact where enemies can walk. So if it were layer 1, for example, they couldn't walk pretty much anywhere on this level. But I have disabled that one right here. All right, so just troubleshooting this here. I think just need to make sure that the other barrier layers are not activated. Make sure that the enemies are not caught up in it. And it's probably something super obvious. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break for today. And I'm going to come back to this hopefully tomorrow. So what we've done today is we've added a couple of levels. So we have animation 2 right here, which is possibly a level 1 with a swirly kind of path. We've added a second level here with a sort of arrow shaped path. And that's the one I've got a little bit of trouble with right now, but I'll get that taken care of here pretty shortly. So I'm going to go ahead and call it quits. And until next time, I definitely appreciate you watching. Appreciate your support. And yeah, follow along. I'll be on a similar time tomorrow. And yeah, have a good one. Take it easy. Hope you have fewer bugs than I do.